going to be a long episode. 2 episodes.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Gentlemen, this might be the best off season that we've ever seen in the National Hockey League.
You must be so happy. You did ask for this, right?
I did. As a fan, yes, as a Habs fan, I could not be having a worse time right now. But
yeah, that's fair.
As someone who loves the action, it's amazing. It's just yesterday was just because I think like most people, I think I had CJ, Saravelli, and Friedman all on notifications for Twitter, and it was like every 20 seconds, like, oh no, here it is, more signings. I freaking love it.
It's like there was tampering or something.
Yeah. So what happened there when people were like, so there were discussions over the past few days, and you're like, wait, what? Because they got rid of the pre-week meeting.
So they got rid of it officially, but I guess I bet there's a loophole that says you can do it. Or you can maybe, my guess is a lot of teams went the route of, we're not going to publicly say we're letting our player talk to other teams. Like the Leafs did that with Hyman, where it came out that Hyman was allowed to talk to other teams. That's my guess is what happened. But
Blake Coleman was like, I had a few days to decide if I was going to Calgary. I was like, what? It opened today. What do you mean?
I think he meant a few hours, Blake.
You should have said, obvious, it was your thing. So
it was a slip, They didn't know what to do, but I don't know. I don't think there's tampering.
Daniel,
I don't know. I'm too innocent. Yes, I don't know.
Okay, Petr Mrazek signed within 2 hours.
Maybe he just knew.
We knew like half of the Oilers' defense, and it was like, this isn't allowed. Technically, it's funny how it's like, oh my God. So you're saying Tampa Bay negotiated an entire 8-year deal with Braden Point in like 20 minutes? That's incredible. No. Oh. But technically, you're not allowed to talk extension until the rollover of free agency. So Tampa, we'll get to Tampa.
You mean Connor McDavid negotiated a contract in 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know what I'm thinking? They didn't negotiate it.
What did they do?
They were just, here's a piece of paper in front of you.
A napkin.
Yes, and you can look at it if you like, but we're not going to talk about it.
It's like in school when you give a note to a girl, like, will you be my girl? Like, do you like me? Yes or no? It's like 12 million or 12.5, and Connor being the night goes 12. Save $500,000, then you piss it away on a bunch of overrated defensemen. We're not talking about the Oilers yet. Okay, so we're doing a double episode for the shenanigans today. We're going to look at what's been going on around free agency today. Or I don't know how we're going to upload this, but this episode is going to be on the Eastern Conference. And by that, I mean the normal Atlantic and Metropolitan Division, because the Honda West can go away for all I care. So at the Scotiabank, no, everything is sponsored by Scotiabank, and I'm sick of it, except the scene cards, because that's a great thing.
Yeah, love the scene cards.
We're going
free
through
movies.
Yes. And our next episode will be on the Western Conference, a.k.a. the Central and Pacific Division. You know what? Fun stuff there. Pacific now is Seattle, the Central, the Coyotes move over. Gentlemen, no, we'll talk about some signings here. Before I kind of go and I show you how we're going to cover each team here, Alex, you had a little something to say, or you wanted 5 minutes, and I'm just going to set you up here. So, Cap Friendly, bless them, have a tracking of all the free agency stuff. So, as of right now, it is 6:13 p.m. on July 29th, the day after free agency, day 2, you want to say whatever. We have had a total of 163 signings. Apparently, all this from Cap Friendly too. 296 total contract years. A total cap hit of $282,790,834. The total contract dollars dished out, $785,100,000.
$800 million.
Yeah.
$800 million. You know what? Shame on every single person who likes the hard cap. Shame on every single person. I hope your team has to buy them out, just like Minnesota had to do with Ryan Suter and Zach Parise. Honestly,
that's cool.
I don't care. I'm so done with it. I've heard so much about it the last week. Just like, how do you watch last year and say, the guys, they couldn't pay their staff because of COVID. Then they're getting into battles with, and listen, my opinion still stands on how that battle went. My opinion doesn't change there, but the owners came out crying about how much money they were going to lose, and then less than a year later, they said to their GMs, "Sure, Cody Ceci got $3.5 million for 4 years." Cody Ceci.
I saw that speculation. I thought it was a joke.
So did I.
Like, not to be mean. I'm just saying it's like, wow, like that year in Pittsburgh really did that to him.
How on earth did, there's guys out there. There was people saying Tucker Pullman. How did Tucker Pullman get $2.5 million? That's insane.
A mix of that is Vancouver being Vancouver, but
probably. But for 4 years.
Yeah.
There's just there is an issue here, and it seems that the NHL doesn't want to do anything about it. It's why is the NHL you know what? There's not a coincidence that the NHL is the fourth best league it's honestly, it could be lower down than fourth, and has a hard cap. It's honestly ridiculous. All owners complain about is franchise value. You know what increases franchise value? A good product. And last episode many episodes before had a discussion about the league being just a absolute nightmare. This just tacks on to it. $800 million in one day. Embarrassing.
I think he captured it very well.
Yeah.
So,
it's the scarcity aspect of it, I think. Because Michael Russo talked about it too, where the Wild, for example, they went from a team that had a pretty solid blue line for a while to things getting really depleted in the last week. And it's because you look at the market of what they I don't know if they expected it or anything, or any team really expected this, but the way defensemen were being paid within the first few hours.
Mm-hmm. It's really funny how before the show we were talking about there are reports that that's one of those names that's difficult. That Russell Westbrook might be a Laker. What's funny in basketball is cool. All right, we like this. But in hockey, it's the big problem. This is how funny it is. If you look at all the Eichel talk, the first thing is, oh my God, he makes $10 million. And how can we afford the cap space? And we look at teams right now, and I look at some teams that have UFAs and RFAs, or sorry, just UFAs now. And you think, wow, how are they going to pay it? Because they have no cap space. And it's and again, and we talked about it before, the luxury tax, it helps everyone. It helps everyone the way it works. So National Hockey, I love how Alex is already, by the way, he's gone back in his chair. He's huffed up. We haven't talked about a team yet. Why do you have a calculator?
Because that's what the Twitter nerds have to pull out every time there's a trade. Including myself. I'm a Twitter nerd, okay?
It's a scientific calculator too.
Yeah, I know. Awesome.
It's one of the fancy ones.
You do fractions on that?
Yeah.
That's cool. Can you do Can you do what's the thing? What do you call the thing with triangles?
Trigonometry?
Again? Trigonometry.
I was gonna make a joke.
Can.
Remember, because we always say Alex is the numbers guy, and then you remember in The Office where it's can you crunch those numbers one more time? It's it's all on the computer. It's yeah, just crunch those numbers. Click, crunch the number.
Yeah, I'm still bankrupt.
So yeah, it must be so difficult being rich. I sit here. I'm like, man, isn't it great that milk isn't taxed? And it's oh my God, I can only afford one right-handed defenseman worth $10 million. Ridiculous.
I'm worried about paying $1.39 for gas. And they're worried about handing out $800 million in one day.
I have an example about this, but it's with a signing, so I don't know if I probably should wait.
No, just go.
No, just go ahead.
Okay, so Ryan Suter.
Yeah.
This is according to The Athletic. So by him being bought out and then signing the contract he did with Dallas, so in addition to both the money from Minnesota and his new contract, he made an extra $11.4 million.
He signed a 4-year deal.
We're going to cover Tampa too, but technically another thing that was really funny is Brent Seabrook is saving money now that he's a member of Tampa Bay, even though he's retired, but technically not. It's Florida taxes, and you're like, what is this?
You get applauded for trading for dead contracts.
Yeah,
what other league has this?
I have one example, but
insanity.
it's not really a dead contract. So Keith Van Horn, so he was like a solid basketball. He was a solid like role player, right? For a while, but he decided to retire like at 31 to spend time with family.
Fair.
And what happened was, in order for the money to work, for Jason Kidd to go from the Nets to the Mavericks in 2008, he had to come out of retirement, and they signed him to a 3-year deal for him to get traded from the Nets to the Mavericks, and then he didn't play for them. He just retired after, but he still got paid the 3 years.
Is that legal? Was that legal?
Yeah, that was legal.
I guarantee you that happens one day in the NHL.
Hey, by the way, we can't allow Seattle and Carey Price to pull out some shenanigans to a cap space. But you know what we can do? We can allow Brent Seabrook's deal to be traded. Oh, and by the way, we can also let a Vezina Trophy winner be traded for absolute nothing, because cap space is a luxury in this league, and it's Bush League. Anyway, going in, guys. I'm screen sharing right now. I have a spreadsheet, an Excel sheet. These are how I see each division standings going next year. For those of you who cannot see this, and you will be able to if you watch the YouTube version of this, which will be up eventually. Alex is pretty good with that stuff. So first off, we're going to go to the Atlantic. Before we go there, though, I'm just going to tell you guys, this is how I see it shaping up so far. Tampa are going to win the division because they're Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Boston are going to come second because they're Boston. Florida and Toronto, I'm tossed up with, but right now I like Florida's depth.
Yeah, don't be tossed up.
Yeah, Montreal, whatever. I had them below Ottawa yesterday. I've come around a bit more because it's like, okay, not Ottawa, okay, but Ottawa will be good, but still, I don't see that changing. Detroit second last, they made some good stuff. Honestly, it might be a tight race between Detroit, Montreal, and Ottawa. Wouldn't be surprised. And Buffalo, because they have no players.
They have Craig Anderson.
Wasn't he retired, by the way?
I thought everyone thought so. Yeah, that was a surprise to see him sign yesterday.
Awesome.
I swear that guy said his career was over like when his Ottawa contract expired.
Every year?
Yeah.
So, and then also we'll get to the Metro later. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a piss take what I've done with the Metro.
Did you do that on purpose to piss off Mike?
Maybe.
Okay.
So, last in the I'm not doing this by the overall standing because that's just too difficult. Yeah. Columbus are going to come last in the Metro. I like what they've done, but they've also kind of traded like everyone except like Boone Jenner. Because Boone Jenner.
Next captain.
Yes. Honestly, yeah, probably. The Rangers second last, third last, the Devils, because I'm like, you know what? Like, I like Dougie. Hughes is good now because, he's young. Imagine development not being a straight line, as Will would say. But it's still like there's like no real depth. Everyone's too young.
Which Hughes?
Jack.
Okay.
Not Luke. Just throw him in there.
No, obviously not Luke. I mean Jack, because if he was on any other team, he had a good year. Then I have Carolina finishing fifth because I think they had a lot of holes now. The Islanders fourth. Like, listen, the Islanders have lost a lot. They have a lot to do, which we'll get to. But it's the Islanders, and I think we should stop counting them out because it's the Islanders. Third, I have Pittsburgh because I'm like, and I know I misspelled Pittsburgh. Don't get on me. Washington second because it's Washington. And first, I don't have to spell Philadelphia, so I just have Philly. It's so dumb to spell. Anyway, why does Pittsburgh have like the extra? What is like an anyway? Philly because I have to stick by that now because I made that joke. And yeah. Anyway, though, guys. So if we're looking at the East, we're going to start in the Atlantic. We're going to start at the bottom. We're going to look at Buffalo. So that's it. You know what? I probably shouldn't have stopped screen sharing because I want to just especially show you Buffalo's cap situation right now. Because quite simply, there is nothing here in Buffalo. There is absolutely nothing. As of yesterday, didn't have a goalie. Right now, we're looking at Aaron Dell and Craig Anderson, who's around all of a sudden. They pick up Will Butcher, and then there's just nothing there. What am I looking at?
They didn't
Oh my
make a
goodness.
signing. So I have it on Cap Friendly from the 25th of July to the 29th, which is today.
Mhm.
They haven't made a signing over $1 million. Well, $1,050,000 for
Mhm.
Vinny Hinostroza. That is the most they've signed a player for.
I see they also brought in Drake Kajula, which was like, where was he?
Yes.
Chicago, I think. But anyway,
Oh, they have John Hayden. I didn't even know that.
So, honestly,
Must be
Daniel, I was going through all the rosters yesterday. I'm like, oh, this guy's here now. It's so straight. Like all the movements is just incredible. You also look at Buffalo. I think it's pretty obvious they're looking to get Shane Wright next. Is it next year? And then Bedard is
Yeah,
like
and then
on the
Bedard's
next
in the year
year,
after. Yeah.
Bedard's the year
Okay.
after.
Yes. So they're looking to get Shane Wright. And looking at this, yeah, you can tell.
Honestly, I think they're looking to get Shane Wright and Connor Bedard.
There's a real chance they could do that. By the way,
Like
looking at that route.
no offense to Buffalo. Just looking at the way they're set up is Kevin Adams made some great moves. Obviously, we talked about it last episode with Ristolainen and Reinhart. But just the overall setup of this team, like even next year, how much better are they going to be? They're not going to have Jack Eichel, we're assuming. They have no D signed for next year.
Yeah.
And the guys they do have signed up front are Jeff Skinner, Kyle Okposo, Zemgus Girgensson, Anders Bjork, Tage Thompson, and Dylan Cousins. So it's going to be a lot of young guys and
big contracts.
and big contracts.
Or-
Yeah.
I thought Gergensons went to the KHL for some reason. How is that guy still in the league?
No.
He's an all-star.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
yeah.
know,
Latvia stuffed the bottom. Yeah, we know. Right there with John Scott. From those two players onwards, it didn't mean anything to be an all-star anymore. It was funny, and the league hated it because the league sucked. But Buffalo, I
He
mean,
doesn't like anything.
the league really doesn't like anything. Remember when the All-Star game had the shootout competition? And you
Yeah.
have those really good moments like Ryan Kessler bringing his kin on to shoot on Gary Price, and like Johnny Gaudreau wearing like it was like one of the Columbus guys having like one of the local football team. Like it was legit fun when Ovechkin like in Montreal had like the weird Canadian glasses and he was pretending to be like some Nova. It was really funny. Like,
You know
he's
what?
got personality. They got rid of it.
You know what my favorite shootout memory was? When Carey Price saved a goal backwards.
You don't want to know how many times I've watched that.
You know how entertaining that is?
Mike, Carey, you're gonna do that in a few weeks versus the Leafs? Yeah, I don't think Tarian's gonna like if I do that. God, what a king! Remember Tarian?
Yeah.
I'd like to forget him. But Buffalo, I mean, they're on the way. I was gonna say they're on the way up, not really, but I will say. No,
Let's see what they get for Eichel before
Yeah.
we say they're on the way.
Yeah, but so far, Kevin Adams this offseason, not terrible, not great,
Oh.
but I think he's doing a fine job with the cards he is being dealt.
Yeah.
He's not waiting too long. That's the good thing.
You see, yeah, and do you know what? I'm fine if he hasn't traded Eichel yet because it sounds like no one wants to pay for a superstar. And it's disgusting. Like the Rangers are just anyway. Sorry, so we've talked about this before. Shall we move on to Detroit?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do
Okay.
it.
Detroit they're going to take a step. I remember the year they finished last. I was like, watch out for Detroit. And this year, I'm going to say it again, watch out for Detroit. They made, if you look at their total offseason, obviously, they bring in Pius Suter now. I'm really mad Detroit got him, by the way. That was a sneaky. First off, how did they not qualify him in Chicago? Ridiculous stuff there. I didn't realize they brought in Osterley from Arizona. That was all of a sudden. They bring in Nick Leddy and obviously Alek Nedeljkovic. A sneaky offseason for Detroit, and they're waiting for those young guys to show up, but at the same time, they're taking another step forward from just being a pure dumpster fire. Something not even Buffalo's been able to do for the past decade.
No, go ahead, Daniel.
There is hope there. You know what I mean? Like it's like the hopeful rebuild, the hopeful tanking that Buffalo wants to embrace now, but it's something that I think Detroit they needed this because like I think they had a rough go when they were trying to stay competitive for so long. And then before Steve Eisman was there, the draft picks that they had there, they just never panned out any of those first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you realize, okay, I have to work on this. I have to really evaluate how I'm going to make this value with these draft picks now. And I think they did that because they didn't bring in Svechnikov. He's gone. I don't know what Michael Rasmussen's going to be.
Wait a minute. What happened to Svechnikov?
Oh, they didn't qualify
Claimed.
him.
No, I
Really?
thought they claimed it. I thought he got claimed. Oh no,
Did
that's
he?
Cholowski.
Yeah, hey,
sorry.
Chalsky.
Oh, I didn't realize they didn't.
What happened to Svech?
He didn't get qualified, and then they don't know what Philip Zadina is going to be.
Sure. I think you make a good point there about the years they kind of clawed into the playoffs. And I think that's what bit them in the ass is that they kept trying to give up, trying to make the playoffs and not accept the fact that they're a real rebuilding team. Similar to another team right now who's trying that. And we'll get to them in the next episode. But but I think what Steve Yzerman is doing is taking it year by year, and he's not overreacting. Not that Detroit was anything special this year to write home about, but he's not looking at the market and overreacting to going out and getting the big free agent, because I think he knows that that's not where this team is at. It's not at signing a Dougie Hamilton or a Gabriel Landeskog type player. They're at, let's bring in an Alex Nedeljkovic, who is 25 years old. Let's bring a Nicoletti, who's on an expiring contract, who we could give up assets for. Like, that's bringing in Pius Suter, who had a really good year, 25 years old. Like, they're bringing in guys who will give them value. And if things don't work out, they are trade assets. And that's the point Detroit is at.
I've asked you guys this question before, now looking at cap friendly.
Okay.
What is the longest term? Who has the longest term cap hit on the Detroit Red Wings right now?
Okay,
And I'll
I won't
give you
answer
opinions.
because I have cap friendly up, so I'll let
Daniel.
Daniel go.
Who
Jacob
has the-
Verena.
No. 5 years left, the buyout of Justin Applicator.
Oh my god.
Yes, that includes this year, by the way. Never forget. I love it so much. The actual roster player with the longest term, 3 more years, Michael Rasmussen. Everyone else is at least, Detroiter and Yzerman is, what a great job he's done cleaning up Ken Holland's mess, by the way.
So I don't know if you saw the reports yesterday about Justin Abdelkader, but apparently, according to Bob McKenzie, he is looking for a return to the NHL.
And Yzerman's like, no, you don't.
And so Ken Holland picks up the phone and says, I'll give you 5 years at $10 million.
You want to play with McDavid?
Oh man, we'll get to it.
You're itching to get to Edmonton.
I am.
Man, there are the Western Canadian teams, except Winnipeg, are a whole pile of I'm not going to say it, but pile of dung, the Western Canadian teams.
Yeah.
Oh, and I didn't mean to trade. Oh no, I almost deleted Ottawa. Oh wait, no, on my no. I had it mixed up on my notes. The Sens. They didn't do a ton. They added some more veteran presence on the back end. Michael Del Zotto, Nick Holden. I think the biggest story with the Sens is they extend DJ Smith a few more years, which good. Yeah. We don't know who their GM is going to be in a few years. It might be Dorian, might be McGuire, but at least DJ Smith gets an extension.
It'll be someone named Pierre.
Yes,
that is for sure. They didn't do much, Ottawa, and like you said, but like I don't think they had a horrible first couple of days. Again, they're also a team like Detroit in the point that they don't really need to go out and get someone huge.
No.
They look, they did that last summer. They brought in Evgeny Dadonov. A year later, they traded him. And I just feel like they just need to let the players they have, and they have a really good young crop of players, including Brady Tkachuk, who they have to re-sign. I think what held a lot of it back last year was goaltending. And I'd really like to see what Matt Murray looks like next year, because he has a big cap hit, at $6.25 million, and you got to perform.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, Alex, that they're gonna have to let the young guys or the players who are emerging just really play, because with Ottawa, they've done really well the last few years of trying to build a roster of what they view will be a competitive one soon, but they kind of have to stop with those little deals that they've done. And I think like the Evgeny Dadonov one was okay, but like it wasn't really a necessity, I think. And then there's also the one where they tried to bring in Derek Stepan, and like that cost them an asset. And that's something where it's like, don't rock the boat too much with this. Like, you're going to be bad, but it's like Detroit. You're hopeful with these things. Just let the young guys play.
Mm-hmm. Also, their draft picks, looking at the next year's draft, pretty decent. Their first pair of seconds, 3/3. I believe that would probably be from Mike Riley. I'm not going to completely double check there, but and I think they have 3 7th rounders.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's Andreas Johnson. That's Jake Evans, and then Pavel Datsuk. Just kidding. What was he, like 9th round or something? I don't know.
No, he was the 6th round.
6th round.
Yeah, Zetterberg was 7th.
I got the boy. Gotta love Hank. Again, just technically came off the books because LTIR is not great.
Congrats to the Red Wings.
Amazing. Okay, like you're gonna say congrats on Henrik Zetterberg. Fantastic career.
Was he in Arizona or Tampa Bay?
He was still in Detroit, I'm pretty sure.
He was one of the few that was kept.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who stuck around.
Woo, good for them.
It's weird, man. So also, like you touched on the second, Alex, the big piece of business that the Sens need to get done sooner than later, re-sign Tkachuk. You got Shabbat done now a couple years ago. Now you gotta move on. Speaking of moving on, the Montreal Canadiens moved on from a couple players, or a couple players moved on from them. Unfortunately, though, we can't even. This is rough, because it's like, okay, so where do you start with Montreal's offseason so far? Do you talk about Corey Perry walking away to go to Tampa Bay, which just felt like the biggest kick in the gonads? Do you talk about Phil Deneau going to LA? No, you can't even. Because what the Montreal Canadiens decided to do yesterday, about, I want to say it was 36 minutes into free agency, was release a letter. Jeff Molson, the owner, put out a little letter in regards to the Logan Mailloux pick. Now, it was the first time they really sort of acknowledged Logan Mailloux's victim, which was far too late. Again, a reminder, we've said this multiple times, if it takes more than one statement now to sort of explain a draft pick, I don't want to read it, because here's the point that everyone needs to know. That entire letter is hollow. The contents of it don't actually mean anything. Now, is there some information, a.k.a. Logan Mailloux will not be at the rookie camp beginning of the next season? Yes, but I will read you the last few sentences because this is all you need to know. If you want to go and read it, go ahead. It's on the Habs site. It will be easy to find, but the message is extremely hollow because here it is. I repeat, our actions will speak louder than our words. We will work to continue proving we are an organization this community and our fans can be proud of. Lastly, I want to thank everyone that provided their feedback on this situation, including our partners and sponsors, so that this mistake becomes an opportunity to grow and raise awareness. Now, for those of you who do not know, since the Logan Mailloux pick was made, there was rumblings that sponsors with Montreal were going to pull out. The one that was really talked about was St. Hubert's. For those of you who don't know, that is a restaurant chain here in Quebec. In fact, if you've ever watched the Laval Rocket game and you're wondering, why is there a little chicken on the jersey in the corner, like a little patch? That's St. Hubert's. So, the Canadiens basically did this letter, buried it in the middle of the news cycle, the busiest day of the year, because of public pressure. So not even public pressure, because they were going to lose money. I know the tone in my voice is somewhat like this is comical to me. It shouldn't be, but it's just such a joke.
It just keeps getting worse. You know what I mean? They try the whole damage control approach, and you just spread the mess around.
I thought when I saw the letter, I'm like, phew, they've renounced the pick. And I read it and went, nope.
Yeah, it was, to me, it was absolute bush leagueness. Like, how do you do that 36 minutes into free agency? 36 minutes into the busiest, one of the busiest days, if not the busiest day of the year. They knew what they were doing. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. Like, these are smart people who have been in hockey for many, many years. How long has Jeff Molson owned the Canadians?
A while.
A while. He knows how busy free agency day is. He is not a stupid human being. And I think just this whole, I listened to Leaf Hour. They were talking about this situation Monday morning, JD Bunkus and Justin Bourne. And JD Bunkus brought up a good point. And it's brought up in the statement. So he's not coming to camp, but by drafting him alone, he doesn't have the actual proper chance to grow and prove himself. And we probably had that discussion on Sunday as well, but just because you're not bringing him to training or rookie camp, doesn't really, like, that's cool, but you still drafted him. You know what I mean? Like, he said, I want to grow. I want to learn from my mistake, and I want to be better, essentially, is what he said. I'm paraphrasing here. Mm-hmm. So please don't draft me. And therefore giving him the opportunity over a full calendar year to do better. And the Montreal Canadiens stripped him of that opportunity, essentially forcing him to be in the spot, to be this, and the entire situation be in the spotlight. And the situation, should be in the spotlight. It's a serious situation, but in the wrong context.
Daniel, anything to add, or should we move on to the signings?
It's just everything you guys already touched on, where they tried to bury it in a way. They tried to, it's the kind of thing, damage control I mentioned, where they put it in the busiest time for free agency, but it's at the same time, it's to show their sponsors, like, hey, look, see, there's actually a paper trail now. There's evidence to say that we acknowledge what this pick meant, what it kind of means in terms of an image. And it's like a very subtle, I'm sorry kind of thing. But again, we're not renouncing the pick. We're saying sorry, but we're not actually atoning for the mistake.
You had the chance. If they had renounced his rights, and like, here's the owner saying, we're sorry, we've done this, we've done that. You could have saved some face, but you didn't. And again, you're probably wondering, people listening, why did they hold on to him? Because unfortunately, he's talented and he fits a need. And we're going to talk about another defenseman, Tony DeAngelo in Carolina, and it's further proof. It's hockey. It's a disappointing league, the NHL too. It really is. So looking at Montreal's offseason so far, first off, a trade must be coming because they have like $1 million in cap space, and Lehkonen and Jesper Kotkaniemi needs to be re-signed. Anyway, so out Phil Deneau, Thomas Tatar. I think all year, and especially once in that Leaf series, the moment he got out the lineup, he never saw light of day again. He's still on the open market. Teams like Anaheim and Colorado have been linked to him. You'd think maybe with Brandon Saad being signed in St. Louis, then if Colorado, I remember there were reports a few years ago, I think from Adrian Dater, unfortunately, that they were interested in the trade deadline in him a couple years ago. Anyway,
last year, right? Wasn't it? Because Bergevin was in Colorado.
What do we classify as last year? Is it the Canadian division year or the COVID shortened year?
The COVID shortened year, right? Okay. Remember Bergevin and was it Timmins?
Mellenby, I think.
Mellenby were in Colorado,
yes.
And it was supposed to be was it a Petrie and Tatar? There was just this rumor swirling.
Harry Price was getting traded, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Phil Deneau was the big one. Gets a $5.5 million cap hit for 6 years. He goes to LA. Now, the kind of weird thing that confuses me about the fit in LA is is what did we hear all year? What was the problem with Deneau? He didn't like that he would be reduced to a third line role because of the emergence of Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Nick Suzuki. So the thing I'm a little confused about is, and listen, if you're behind Kopitar, like that's a wicked. Like those are some of the best defensive centers in the league.
Right.
But if you look at like Alex Turcotte and you look at Quentin Byfield and a younger guy, maybe not at that same caliber with Gabriel Velarde, it's sort of the same problem. So I'm a little confused. Like I'm not bitter. Like Phil, it seems to be even if Phil was disappointed, he seemed like, I loved my time here. But I'm just like, Phil, is this the right fit for you long term?
I think I have an answer. First off, I think going into last season, and I mean the North Division, you're on your last year of a deal and you're playing third line minutes. That's what the idea was coming out of the bubble. You're not going to get as much money, is my thought process on that. So complain about it, I guess, and see where it gets you. And he played great and he got paid. Also, by the time that contract gets to the later years, he's going to be on the back half of his career where it's probably realistic for him to play third line minutes. That's just my thought process on it. I don't know if that's what he thought, but to me, when you have the financial security moving forward, playing third line minutes every day, every night doesn't really matter.
Dan.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I was pretty surprised he went to the Kings because I know there was so much speculation of him going to Vancouver or wanting to go somewhere where, it was pretty thin down the middle. But for the Kings,
Vegas.
what would be the expectation there now? Is like, does Alex Turcotte or does Quinton Byfield, do they go to the wing for now? And I guess that is kind of like a damage control kind of thing because they have so many centers now. And the way I see it, it just, he got paid pretty well.
Yeah.
A lot of security in that one. And he is a good player. Like, I think that he will fit with what the Kings believe they can be now after like years of saying like, yeah, we're going to be bad.
Mm-hmm. We'll go more on Phil when we get to next episode and the LA Kings, but I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Nah, it hurts, especially when he leaves for, I think it would totally be $3 million altogether because it was $500,000 more per term. Some of the moves Montreal do, obviously, Chris Weidman comes in, I think it was like $700K. Cedric Paquette, $900,000. David Savard, the worst kept secret in Quebec. It's the exact same deal as, I believe it was Ben Sherratt, but no trade protection. And the big one, which was surprising but not really, Mike Hoffman. 3 years, $4.5 million is the AAV with that one. The Canadians can't score. They have a bad power play, so they bring in a guy who scores a lot on the power play, but not much else.
Yeah, I like, for me, I don't know about you, I like the Mike Hoffman signing. I don't know what to think of the David Savard signing because I've seen people say, well, he's replacing Shea Weber. And then, but 2 weeks ago or a week ago, whenever we had that discussion about Shea Weber, the overall consensus was that it is going to be almost impossible to replace Shea Weber. So how do you declare this man Shea Weber's replacement?
It's more like and Bergevin himself said, it's like we're trying our best, but we can't. The big problem I see with the Savard signing, it's like, okay, so stay-at-home defenseman, big, tough, hard to play against. I'm like, great. The third consecutive summer of signing one of those. Mm-hmm. And you dedicate that cap space, and you're like, okay, so you have that physicality with three guys, and they're all much younger than Shea Weber was, okay? But it's like what? Like you were never going to replace his leadership. Like they can't do that. That's going to come within right now from guys like Gallagher and that. It's just like I feel like there were more needs. Like for example, like is Weidman's the hope on the power play? I'm like what?
What?
apparently some people now. Sorry, I should say it like this. Bergevin himself did not say that, but like you have guys like Craig Button saying, "Oh, Weidman," because he had like 59 points in the KHL. But what's really funny is he had an even rating, and you're like, okay.
Is he going to play? Like when I saw the Chris Weidman signing, well, my first thought was the Uber video, to be honest. But
Yeah, same.
my second thought was, is he going to even get in the lineup?
Burr said that he's not giving him a spot. He has to. But it's like, okay, so you've needed a third pairing right-handed defenseman for how long? He's going to have the inside track, but he's not been promised a spot pairing. Like again, he only makes $700,000. You're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
the
so low
Savard
risk.
signing was the wrong one, though. That's not a puck mover.
You only have Jeff Petrie now. Who's every play now is going to be only one getting at it through the blue line.
Yeah.
I already know what your answer is going to be, but was there someone else out there that you would have preferred over David Savard?
Well, okay, yeah. So on the open market, Sammy Vatanen is sitting there. Third.
That. I mean, I thought you were going to say Dougie Hamilton, but
obviously Dougie.
yeah.
It didn't even sound like they approached Hamilton, which is like, okay, whatever. I would have given him Seth Jones's deal and would have said, okay, this is fine because he does everything. He's like
Literally.
the best all-around, one of the best all-around defensemen in the league. But no, so like Sammy Vatanen is just sitting there, right? And it's like third pairing guy could have slotted right in. But there's a guy who has a year left, and there was whispers that he wants out, or not that he wants out, but that Dallas have talked about trading this player. It's like $5 million, I'm pretty sure. Great for the power play, as all Swedish defensemen are. And I'm like, do what you need to do and try and see if you can get John Klingberg out of Dallas. That's a guy I was looking at. I'm like, you know, see, because the Stars aren't going to. No offense, you look at the West right now. I'm like, the Stars? No. I just I'm thinking John Klingberg. Open market. Besides Hamilton, they were going to go after. It's more trade route. Not to mention the Habs need a center because Cedric Paquette ain't filling in the third line center.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, what are they going to do now for the bottom six? Because again, it's like that rotating thing now of so many so many wingers in the top nine. Like, where's everyone going to stack up?
Well, that's another problem is if you ignoring Hoffman, one of like Anderson, Gallagher, Toffoli, Drouin is outside the top six. So if you have Hoffman, Anderson, now two of them are out. Like, listen, there's depth, and then there is guys need their minutes to do the thing they do, and that is to score and to play, right? So there must be a trade coming. Again, you can't go into next year as your center depth being one of like Paquette or Evans, Paling, Kotkaniemi, and Suzuki. There's not enough experience there. So the big kind of issue, and if you're asking me how do you feel it, Arizona are trading everything right now. Just go get Christian Dvorak, please.
Is he a center though?
He is, yes. Like 60% or just under that. Really good two-way guy. I've been very much on this. Like for like $500,000 with some term. And like there are guys in Arizona saying that like the Habs have had interest. So like, you know, do that or pay the price because here's the thing with Bergevin. Every year, when good players aren't available and when they are, you got to try to do it. Go get Eichel. I don't care if you need surgery and they're garbage this year and the pick turns out to be like a lot. I do not care. Or it's not going to be because they're not as bad as Buffalo or Detroit or like Anaheim. No offense, Daniel. Go get Jack Eichel. I don't care what it costs, unless it's Caulfield and Suzuki. Even so, it's Jack Eichel. People need to stop doing this stupid thing of, oh my God, Eichel makes so much money. Oh my God, I don't want Jack Eichel and give this up. It's a quality top centerman in this league. Go get him for the love of God.
It's ridiculous. The conversation around Eichel is, again, we had that discussion at the 5-minute rant there. It's all about cap space. Like, it's Jack freaking Eichel. I get, he's in Buffalo and he hasn't looked great, but man, like, just do it. Just go get Jack Eichel. Like, someone go get Jack Eichel. I get you don't want to pay the high price, and I'm sure the price is astronomically high. But like, to say you don't, and I'm using the Rangers here as an example because they're the team that we know about. To say for the Rangers to say, we don't want to give up Niels Lundqvist or Braden Schneider is baloney. It's baloney.
Yeah, 'cause none of those guys.
They're never going to be anything close to what Jack Eichel could be.
Or even the way they're set up, they're not going to play in the top 4 anytime soon.
And by the way, before anyone says anything about what about his net, we know about his net. This is all in the situation of we know the solution to that. So shut up. This is a talent that just, again, this is a guy that if McDavid wasn't a thing, goes first overall in like any other draft. And they have treated him like crap from the moment before they drafted him. He was a consolation prize. Like have some, you want to play in a real market, come to Montreal. I mean, we don't look great now because the Hoffman Baxter, and then Chris Weidman in the Uber, and then it's like, there's just obviously complaining about your boss in an Uber is nowhere near what Logan Mailloux did, but at the same time, everything Montreal are doing right now is like, so you hate everything, and it's like, God damn it, you ruined this team's reputation.
Before we move on from Montreal, I'm just curious, what is the expectation for Jonathan Drouin? Like, is he not in terms of his play? I mean, in terms of, is he going to be back with the team? Because I know that was up in the air, and then I thought I read Bergevin saying the expectation was he was going to be in camp.
Yeah, so at the end of the year, conference is like, Price is getting surgery, but he'll be okay. Weber's probably done. He did say he expects Jonathan Drouin to be at camp. Yeah. But then I just kind of thought, Bergevin's a liar.
That is true.
I'm like, God, he's going to trade him, isn't he? Because it's like, remember, we're not trading PK. We're not trading Alex Getcher. We're not making a trade, Eric Stahl.
And it would add up considering bringing in Mike Hoffman, extending Joel Armia. Like, you sent me that, or you sent the group chat that photo of Montreal's lineup. That's without Mike Hoffman, right? So you got to take someone out and put Mike Hoffman in there.
Or use one of your wingers to get a centerman or a puck-moving defenseman.
That too.
Yeah.
Bunch her up, because if Washington get a pair of seconds for Brendan Dillon, you could get the sun and the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, boy.
Out goes Freddie Anderson. Out Freddie Anderson. Alex Galchenyuk. We all miss him. And this one hurts for a certain member of this podcast, Zach Bogosian.
That one hurt.
Sorry, Alex.
When we get to Tampa, it's just going to be all three of us in tears.
I know who to blame for that one. I know who to blame for that signing. I won't say it, but I know who to blame.
And then in comes Peter Mrazek. You wanted a good goaltender to be in a tandem. Why not get like the best tandem backup in the league? Michael Armaggio. I know I'm saying it wrong. I'm sorry. Michael Bunting, who was the worst kept secret ever. David Kampf. And it finally happened, guys. Josh Hosang gets a shot outside of New York.
He did it.
Yeah, I'm glad that he gets a PTO with the Leafs. Literally no risk on the Leafs part there, but just a good overall play. Like, I mean, we haven't seen it, but from what I've heard from other people, it seems like he should get a shot. And for the Leafs, I think he could actually get a shot because it's the Leafs and their depth is not great. And what we're calling bargain bin hunting is exactly what they did. And speaking on that, before I get to what I think of these signings, because I mean, most of them are okay. Like, I'm not over the moon about any of them in particular, but that was my expectation. There's this expectation in Leafs Twitter, and I know exactly who to blame about it. And this time I will call them out for it. There's this expectation in Leafs land that they were interested in all these big name free agents and were going to try to acquire them. And I think you're full of yourself if you actually believe that. Like, I'm sorry, they had no cap space. They needed to fill roles, and you, with what cap space did you want to bring in Gabriel Landeskog or Philip Grubauer? Like, in what world? Like, the audacity to call Steve Dangle a traitor and then watch people in the media say the Leafs are interested in Gabriel Landeskog and Philip Grubauer, and you eat that up like it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It wasn't even that. Pegnata said I could see them being interested.
Oh my!
Yeah.
And did
I like how he worded that.
He knew, but he knew what he was doing. But Steve Dangle's the traitor because he works for Sportsnet, who has the national rights, and he had to watch he watched the Montreal Canadiens series. But no, it's Steve Dangle who's the traitor, not the media who shoves absolutely everything down everyone's throats. I am on an absolute heater today.
I saw the Brandon Saad rumors too about the Leafs.
That one was a little more realistic.
Yeah.
But after seeing what he signed for, I'm more than okay.
Yeah.
Like, they were not going after a big fish. That was literally impossible.
You know who he didn't mention?
Who?
Curtis Gabriel.
Curtis Gabriel. I do that. I enjoy that signing. Younger, I guess, less skilled Wayne Simmons is the way I'll put it.
Yeah. Apparently loved his work ethic 2 years ago, so
Sure.
why not?
God love
Did he play junior?
Do you want to have that discussion too? Because I'm down for that.
I don't think we need to. I just love, like, what other market are they going to complain about? Like, let's just have a real discussion here. Okay. Armadio.
Yeah.
So Armadio
Yeah.
is going to be a bottom six player, right?
Yeah.
Michael
Maybe.
Bunting maybe could get a top six shot, but realistically, middle, bottom six player. David Camp is probably going to be a bottom six centerman.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's a great penalty killer and all that.
Yeah.
Like, where else, in what other market, is there like a chain reaction at like levels of hatred because somebody signed a bottom six role player from the Sault Ste. Marie Grey? It is ridiculous.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, it's just a mix of like, just like, is this what we're doing nowadays? But like, I don't know why I continue to be surprised about it. It's just like, man, they're good players. Like, who cares where they played? Yeah, so what? If anyone knows them the best, it's going to be Dubas. If it was different and it's like, hey, I had like Chris Russell before. That's not a good player. You don't sign him to like $4 million for 3 years. If it's like a $1.5 million dude like Michael Bunting, who had a good little year in Arizona, which no one ever does unless you're named Jacob Chikrin, then go for it.
But why are we acting like he is the only general manager that does this? We just watched Lou reacquire Travis Zajac and Andy Green over the last 2 years. So I'm not trying to crap on Lou. I love Lou, man. Like, it's not the point I'm trying to make. It's just he's another manager that does it, and everyone loves to talk about Lou. Lou does it. Like, I guarantee you, if Ken Holland had the opportunity to sign Justin Abdelkader, he would do it. He would freaking do it. Like, I believe it.
They stopped them from doing it. But I agree. Like, I don't know. It's just that it's like what we talked about before. Like, they magnify where it's like, oh, this was clearly a weakness where we saw that revolving door on the left side on the second line. And suddenly it's like, oh, they didn't solve it in the first 2 days of free agency. What are they doing?
They still have one more left wing spot to fill. Like, this isn't over. Like, it's just not going to be a big fish. That's the reality.
Trades still happen like towards August. Like,
It's
I
just
don't know.
a mix of like, it's just like, it's the chain reaction. Like, it's still being set off from that first round thing with Montreal. He's like, and yeah, but the Hyman stuff, like, but at some point you just need to just take a breath.
The
Just
Hyman
don't-
stuff is
yeah.
comical. The Hyman stuff is comical because it's like, Dubas should really cave in. Excuse me? Cave in? Like, you just told him not to cave in.
There is one thing I found a little silly about the whole Hyman signing rights thing. I'm like, okay, like, and obviously, I'm sure if Holland was like, I'll give you a sixth, and Dubas was like, no, give me a second. I'd like to think, hopefully, there was like a meet in the middle, because like, let's be realistic. The one thing I'm gonna say, if they weren't gonna move off a second rounder, like, and listen, you try and squeeze it out of Edmonton because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But it's like, obviously, you're not going to get a second. I know Dubas kind of setting of like this narrative of just getting something. In that case, I would say, like, he's leaving. Why not try and just get anything, especially with, and Dangle has just pointed this out to no end. They don't have a lot of late round draft picks. So just, get what you can for that. It's a minor thing. Again, I'll say this again. In what other market is there that much hoopla about signing rights? But that's one thing I'll say is like, man, just in that scenario, and considering I was very critical to Seattle, and it was like your prices are way too high, and you seem to like price yourself out of it. Can't wait to talk about Seattle next episode. By the way, that's one thing I'll be like, dude, this just come on, buddy. But it's,
Sure,
I
sure.
mean, there are worse lines to hold off on, I guess.
Also, one more thing on the Leafs. There's not much else for me to say. Like, I like Peter Mrazek as backing up. I like Michael Bunting. I like most of them. There's a weird consensus on David Camp. No one knows.
That surprised me, that one.
Justin Hall, I want to change my opinion on what I said 2 episodes ago on the expansion draft stuff, because the contracts that were handed out were incredibly unbelievable. So I think the right move was keeping Justin Hall. I changed my answer.
Good. All right. Florida. They have had a very tidy offseason. Resigning, it seems to be everyone at every corner. Bennett, I did think, what was it, 4 times 4-ish around there. I thought that was a little rich, but the way big guys who are good in the playoffs are going right now, they're yet to sign Sam Reinhart, but they've acquired him. Maybe I should not have showed you my projections in the standings, because I was going to ask you guys this. Who do you have third in the Atlantic right now? Is it Toronto or is it Florida?
I have Florida.
Damn.
I have Boston.
Okay. So first off, you have Tampa winning, right?
Yeah.
Who's second?
Toronto.
Really?
Yeah. I'm still hopeful.
The Leafs fans, like the casual Twitter Leafs fan, needs to learn the faith from you. Wait. So you have
Cheers.
Florida fourth, then I would assume.
I have Florida I actually Florida third. I have Boston fourth.
Oh, sorry, Boston fourth.
Yeah.
Daniel's just coming out flying.
They added. So they. Okay, we'll get to. Okay.
Get to Boston.
I know they added, but it's just kind of like I don't know. It just
Hold on a minute. Okay, Florida will have a bigger discussion because there is someone I would like to see if we can get on the show about Florida. They've been great. Sorry, Florida. We don't mean to skip over you, but we're going a really long time here anyway.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Boston fourth. So I'll remind you right now, their goaltending isn't looking as bad because Swayven looked really good. He's the backup. They signed Linus Ullmark.
a lot.
Yeah, but what is okay, Daniel? You're holding a very strange line here. Okay,
I know.
They extend Riley for a decent little. They extend Taylor Hall to, I'm pretty sure, the same money. They signed Nick Foligno to a very fair contract. Thomas Nosek, who I didn't realize had left Vegas, and Eric Howla, which I didn't realize was a thing. And you have them fourth?
Are they going to make the playoffs? Is this your St. Louis moment with Boston?
Maybe. I don't know. They've proven me wrong before, but it's just I'm not a big fan of their defense. I think that it still needs a lot of reworking. I know Mike Riley worked in there seamlessly. With Taylor Hall, it's just this is the thing we talk about every single year. And I don't think that type of consistency we saw with him when he went to Boston is going to be the same in an 82-game season. And I'm not saying that like things are going to be bad for the other core guys there, but like David Krejci's 35. I don't know how the health is going to be of Pasternak and Bergeron. And like, yeah, Brad Marchand's going to still be Brad Marchand, but like he can't carry a line on his own. So that's just my thing. And I think that the guys that they didn't qualify, like, maybe it's not going to hurt them like Andre Kasha, but like it is the kind of thing where they bring in these guys and they like on paper are quality, right? Like, but I just don't know how it's all going to fit because there's a lot of moving parts in that bottom six.
I love it.
I can't believe you have Boston.
Oh my God.
Great.
I love it.
Disrespect to the Bruins.
This is the content.
I hope you're right. So where's Montreal on your list?
Probably fifth. I'm sorry, Adam.
That's what I'm
He
saying.
had them sixth yesterday. So.
Okay.
I had them with I have them in a fight with Detroit and
Yeah, I was tied. Like I was thinking, like Detroit or, but I don't know. I have to see first because like with Detroit, it's just kind of like, you never know with those type of teams that they have so many young guys. Like who's actually going to take the next step.
I hope you're right, man. But it's just I have a hard time counting out the Bruins. And Pat, I love Pat. You know I love Pat. Good old Bergeron.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay.
The bell at the
Oh,
bottom.
what's so funny is from the last time we recorded, they acquired the Brett Seabrook contract,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous. So they trade Tyler Johnson in a 2023 second. They have their first, Nick. I saw someone on Twitter being like, oh, yeah, well, look at their draft picks. They have their first. I hate them. So they send that and Tyler Johnson, who've been
Even if
trying
they
to trade. Tyler Johnson, who they waived a few times last year.
Yeah.
They trade him in a second to Chicago for the Brent Seabrook contract so they can use the LTIR. And all of a sudden, I was looking at their roster. I'm like, excuse me? They've signed Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, Zach Bogosian, and Brian Elliott. And then today, they break all of Montreal's heart and sign Corey Perry to 2 years, $1 million per. He's probably sick of losing to Tampa in the finals. And on top of that, they extend Braden Point 8 years, $9.5 million AAV. So they're three-peat, right? They're winning.
For the 3P.
Can we just put that in?
Yeah.
Braden Point's Michael Jordan, right? Yeah. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of them. I hate them. I hate Tampa. It's not fair.
This is
It's
ridiculous.
just not fair
Too good.
anymore. They keep getting away with it.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, the third line is gone, but it's still like they're gonna be able to like this happens every year. They're gonna be able to replace it, and they're showing that they can do it again.
Do you know Matthew Joseph's going to be a full timer? Do you know who they signed as well? Charles Houdon.
Oh.
Oh, the Quebecois legend.
Can't wait for how that turns around and how he becomes you know how it's going to work with Tampa Bay. He'll be a star. He'll have 20 goals. He'll go and get overpaid by the Oilers in free agency in a couple of years. I'm just sick of how well that organization is ran, and I'm done with it. They
This is-
took Corey Perry, and I'm mad.
It took him.
This is a result of great drafting, more than just drafting, great development. Like that's what this is a result of. What other organization, and I think there's maybe one name I have in my head that brings up a random player each year and succeeds?
It used to be Chicago.
Pittsburgh too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Teddy Blue.
Danny Bluger, right? It's like they watch next year. There's going to be some breakout candidates. Didn't we do this?
We chose a
exercise, right?
random
We chose
Yeah.
a random
roster
player.
name.
Okay, right. So it's gonna happen. It's
Who
gonna
did I
happen.
choose? Oh, Mitchell Stevens. I'm like, he's finally gonna be full time.
Yeah, I think I chose Jimmy Huntington. I don't know if it's gonna work, but who knows? Like it's just they lost their third line, but there's guys there who can replace that third line. Like Matthew Joseph is going to take that next step over the summer. Like Daniel, probably right. A guy like Mitchell Stevens, but now you bring in Corey Perry and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and you're just filling in your bottom six the same way they've been filling in their roster for the last 3 years.
I'm not saying Perry is at this level, but you looked at how important how Blake Coleman turned his game on for the playoffs. Corey Perry fits that mold perfectly. Now, not as fast, obviously. He's got some age and wear and tear in there, but still, they make me sick. Tampa Bay, they make me sick. I'm jealous of them. I'm jealous of them.
So am I.
Ridiculous, incredible. The Tampa Bay Lightning. All right.
Okay.
Now we hit the Metropolitan. We'll go a little quicker here. Do you want to start from who I have winning the division, or would you like to go to the bottom of the division?
The bottom.
All right. So I'm going to stand when we do the podcast now. I just to put my computer a little higher. Okay, at the bottom, I have projected Columbus. They extend Boone Jenner. Line signs his qualifying offer. Jake Bean signs an extension today around the $2 million range. Not bad. Jacob Voracek is in there. But beside those names, it's very much a different team. It is they're on the right track. They have a great draft. However, they're not going to be great next year.
No. And I think Jarmo Kekalainen has admitted that.
Yes.
Despite him not wanting to really admit it in that interview, he knew he had to admit it. I'm still not 100% sure about what the Cam Atkinson for Jacob Voracek trade was, but I'll trust him on it. I think he just came home with the lottery in the Seth Jones trade, and
Yes.
they just bringing in Jake Bean. I really like Jake Bean from what I've heard about him, and they still have some trade chips. Like they could trade one of the goalies if they wanted to. I mean, it seems like the thing that Patrick Laine stayed, I think, is a promising sign and maybe a guy they could build around. I get maybe he's not as hyped as he was when the Jets drafted him, but still, like he's 23. He'll be an RFA next year, and we know he has scoring ability. And maybe Brad Larson, their head coach, will actually let him unleash it.
I agree. Like I like the what you brought up, Alex, about Patrick Laine staying because I always compared the Blue Jackets to the Oakland Athletics, that they've been known to bring in so much talent, but it's like a city that could never keep it. And I think that the way that they're taking this approach now, that they're getting a lot younger, they kind of shown that it's not just the young guys there. Like Jakub Voracek's going to still be there. Gustav Nyquist is still going to be there. Like the goaltending tandem is still intact. So I think that there is going to be some moments for them to surprise, but for the most part, it's not going to be horrible.
Talk about Oakland not being able to keep talent. Jake Bean, like Oakland couldn't keep Billy Bean.
Oh my God.
I love
But
it.
the Rangers, who I have put second last here, they trade Buchnevich for Sammy Blais. They signed Barclay Goodrow, Jared Tenardi, and Daniel's favorite player, Patrick Nemeth. Eichel is not there, to the chagrin of our good friend Mike. Happy belated birthday, by the way, Mike.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
I just don't know what the Rangers are going to be next year.
I don't think they'll have Jack Eichel. That's
They'll
what
be
I know.
tough to play against.
They'll be the New York Islanders, which I told Mike should never come out of someone's mouth in New York. Like that's beyond disgraceful. Imagine that. Imagine saying that about a rival team. We are not like them. Like get out of here. You're right. I'm not entirely sure what this team is going to be. Like your Mika Zibanejad's up in a year. Ryan Strome is up in a year. Like those are your two top six centers, and they're both going to be unrestricted free agents in 12 months. That seems like a concern to me.
I'm looking at you, Daniel, and your hat. Is that a Blue Jays hat you're wearing?
It is a Blue Jays hat. Yes, thank you.
You've worn that before, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I'm looking at the Rangers, and it's what I said before, that it's there. Like you could envision a good team. You can envision them scoring and actually defending. But again, that's an on paper kind of thing. It's not there yet. It's not consistent yet. And unless you're Artemi Panarin, I don't see that consistency coming from a lot of their forwards. Where again, we talked about Capo Caco, where that guy really needs to play a lot better. Or Vitaly Kravtsov, where is he gonna really fit? Like what is gonna be his role there? Because I'm seeing a lot of talent, a lot of those guys who are supposed to be scoring wingers that are just going to be pushed into the top six, and they're going to say figure it out. Barclay Goodrow, that is recency bias. I think that's how we got paid. That they need that character guy, but the core is not fully there yet. The defense, I don't know. If you're not Adam Fox, then you're not defending too well. I'm hopeful for Keandre Miller to take the next step, but again, this Rangers team, they're still in transition.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I've been telling Mike I'm not a fan of the Rangers defense, and he keeps telling me, "Don't worry, don't worry." I'm like, but maybe they're a playoff team, but they're not a contender with that defense at the moment. I think with the young guys taking steps to that point, in 2 years time, we're having a different conversation. Like Keandre Miller is 21 years old. Adam Fox is 23 years old. Like there's young guys there, but I just don't think they're there yet. And I don't know if Patrick Nemeth was the answer.
Honestly, if Mike just saying, don't worry is a lot nicer than I thought he might say back to you.
Well, that's not what he said exactly. Like there was
Yeah,
more
yeah,
to.
he's
there was
paraphrasing,
more- I'm
yeah.
paraphrasing. We'd be. I don't know how many bleeps I'd have to use.
This is true. The Devils, they picked Jonathan Bernier, a good bit of money.
A lot of money.
It was a 2 years, $4 million per. Don't forget they also bring in Ryan Graves. They trade away Will Butcher because they fell out of love with him because they're weird. Though they get the belle of the ball, 7 years, $9 million per, less than Seth Jones. Because this league, they get Dougie Hamilton. I still don't see New Jersey being a threat, but I think they could give you a scare every few nights. I still don't see them above some of the bigger guys, but they're on their way up. Like, I think next year they will definitely be out of the basement, and maybe they'll win a game at home.
That would be nice if they won a game at home. Yes, but I think
Not against the Sabres, by the way. They don't count.
Oh,
Those wins don't count.
I think the guys they have on their roster, the young guys. I mean, like I'm specifically looking at Hughes and Hischier in this, the 2 number 1 overall picks. That they still have to keep taking steps forward in terms of their development, and we've seen it over the last couple of years with Nico Hischier, and I think we saw it a little bit last year with Jack Hughes. But they got to keep taking those steps in terms of proving why Tom Fitzgerald went out to get Dougie Hamilton as well as Jonathan Bernier. In terms of the Jonathan Bernier signing, I think that's a pretty good tandem. Like if you go look at Bernier's numbers with Detroit last year, who were not great, Detroit, but Jonathan Bernier's numbers weren't horrible. And to have him next to Mackenzie Blackwood, I feel like they're just trying to repeat what they did last year with Corey Crawford in a way.
Fun fact, before I get into the analysis.
Let's hear it.
When Lou Lamoriello had to replace Martin Brodeur in New Jersey, Jonathan Bernier was actually one of his first choices before Corey Schneider.
Was that when he was in RFA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before he went to the Leafs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of crazy how that works right now. Like, 9 years later? Yeah, I think with New Jersey, it's just, again, it's about the young talent and what they could kind of do to elevate their games. Like you mentioned a lot of the big names, but like there's also Jan Kukkonen, who I think could keep getting better. And I really apologize, Alex, you always correct me on this, but I forgot how to say Igor
Sharangovich.
Igor Sharangovich, yeah.
Yes, him as well. Like those type of winger guys that they could play in the top 6, or even a Pavel Zacha, who kind of, actually played pretty well last year, that they just need this consistency to keep on going if they want. What they need to do is they don't have to be a top team. Like this is what I'm giving them. Yeah. Just keep it together and maybe try to get one of the last playoff spots. Like just don't make it like, when they got like Gusev and Wayne Simmons and they tried to go for it and like they didn't win for their first 10 games.
You know what? 2 things really funny. I forgot about Corey Crawford being a thing. Second off, just they're so young, New Jersey. Just keep it together. As Daniel said, keep it together. Keep your head above water. We're your team.
Just a thought. I noticed it earlier. They have 3 really good right-handed defensemen: Dougie, Damon Severson, and PK. I mean, I can see them. They have the cap space to do it, to run those 3 guys. PK's obviously in his last year. Who knows? Trade coming soon.
You scared me because for a second I thought you were going to say PK could move the puck, and I thought you were about to pitch me a return to Montreal.
I'd love to see that.
Do you want it?
50% retained.
Obviously, he's not the old PK, but sure. Obviously, Bergevin hates him for some reason.
I'll never understand. Someone was asking Someone was asking me about that the other night, and I'm like, I don't have an answer for you. Like, this is a man who donated $10 million to a Montreal hospital, because he wasn't with the team.
In this hockey economy,
it was a long time, but you know what I mean. Like again. Children's one. I say this all the time. His face is on the side of the freaking hospital. Oh, he was an issue in the locker room, eh? He was a distraction off the ice.
Yeah.
And again, you drafted Logan Mailloux. And some other defensemen you've been interested over the past couple of years, and some internal hirings and some previous history with them. Sean Burke, but PK was the problem. What is PK that the rest of them aren't? By the way, I'm not going to say it, but there's a difference. There's a difference there. Is all I'll say. Right though, where are we now? Oh, and I didn't even mean to do this. Carolina. Oh boy. I would highly recommend, but I'm sorry I'm moving around a lot. I hate sitting in the chair for too long. I'm now on my knees on the floor holding my mic. It's a situation.
Don't forget, we have another episode to record.
No, I know. So Sarah Sivian, who is a great reporter, had a really good article in The Athletic. I think everyone should go read about the repercussions of the Tony DeAngelo signing. Something is going on with Carolina, a.k.a. there are clearly some sort of internal things if you're not spending money. They offer, what was it? The last offer they gave to Hamilton was $6.4 million AAV or something.
Yeah, I think they were using Torrey Krug as a comparable. Would be my guess.
I don't know what to say to that. So by the way, they signed Brendan Smith a couple of minutes ago.
I saw that.
So Dougie is gone. So is Bernier. We can't wait for that. Peter Mrazek and Warren Fogle, but in a deal that brings in Ethan Bear, not terrible. They also signed Joss Levo, by the way, which was like, oh, okay, cool. In the net, there's Auntie Ronta and Frederick Anderson, and there's a lot of health issues there. But first off, they clearly needed to be cheap when it came to filling a replacement for Dougie Hamilton, and Don Waddell made the decision to go out and get Tony DeAngelo. We have talked about him before. It's no stranger to what that guy is like in his media availability with the Carolina media. There wasn't a lot of specifics of what he's been up to, other than I've had some time since January when I got bought out 6 games into the season. It's disappointing because Carolina have sort of been that we all in the back of our minds love that team. So many great stories, the Storm Surge, the David Ayres stuff, just like them, like their Twitter account every year when the playoffs are on, and they send they do a tweet about all the teams who make it, and it's just really sweet stuff. It's a small market team, and again, Sarah Sivian's article does a great job talking about this. And it seems to be the thing that Carolina are telling their fans, including season ticket holders who have apparently talked to people, is trust. The plan is trust Rod Brindamore to sort him out. This is and again, it's a reminder of how crappy this league is.
Man, I said it before. I think I said it last year when we had the discussion about Mitchell Miller. Is I don't understand, and it seems like it's just a professional sports thing. What this obsession is with, we're going to bring this guy into quote unquote rehabilitate him or set him straight. I that doesn't happen in reality. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't happen in a day-to-day job. If I do something wrong on my job of consequence, I'm fired. Like, there's no, well, we'll try to help him. I'm gone. Like, there's no question about it. I'm not like this. It's such a weird, just the idea of, we're the team to try. And now Carolina has done it. Arizona has done it, and Montreal have all used the same line of, well, we're the team that's going to do it. And I'm like, but that's not reality. This is some made up line that you've come up with to make us think that, well, it's okay. But I'm like, but that's not how the real world works.
Mm-hmm. It is something that it didn't sit well with me. Again, like, it is disappointing because of how heartfelt and how easygoing that Carolina was, where in a way, I didn't say that they were the representative of it, but they were kind of something that they showed that, the NHL can be fun. The NHL could be all those type of things that we hope the league can be. And they kind of tried to embody that with the team culture. And for them to get Tony D'Angelo now, and looking at the cost situations of getting a right hand shot, getting someone that who may be able to replace Dougie Hamilton in terms of not talent but minutes, it is a disappointing situation. And I don't know, like this is all speculation as well. People say like, oh, the Ethan Bear acquisition was kind of like it was kind of something where it's like, oh no, like see, we're perfectly okay, like we don't steer to one way or another. And I'm not saying this to disclose like his talent in any way, but it is a weird thing because like if I'm Ethan Bear now and I have someone like Tony D'Angelo on my team, it's just how's that dynamic gonna work?
You're seeing that 'cause I don't exactly know because he is indigenous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is and there were whispers about some of the things that D'Angelo and how he was teasing Keandre Miller about that first goal and like that first goal plug and all that stuff that was never confirmed, but there were whispers. Reminder, he got bought out 6 games into a season.
I guess just to speak on Daniel's point about replacing minutes, I feel like you can replace his like by sheltering him. You know what I mean? Like he's very offensive minded, and that's what they say he's so good at. But defensively, it's not great. Like you can't replace all of Dougie Hamilton's minutes with Tony D'Angelo. That's in my eyes. You can't do that.
Well, I think that's where Rod comes in, and he's like, because you're right, but then it's simply, who can though. There's like Slavin and Pesci can take care of that. You know what I mean? It puts more pressure on them, but like, and that's probably where Carolina are looking at it. It's obviously not right, but I don't know why I don't know why I'm trying to just.
It's crazy how much they bled with the defensemen they had like in the past 2 weeks. How many defensemen they've lost?
Bean, Fleury. Well, Fleury they lost earlier, but Bean, Fleury, Hamilton, yeah.
Even forward wise, you lose Morgan Gecky.
Yeah.
You've now lost Warren Fogle.
And you also had to completely remake your goaltending tandem.
And then we'll take the turn here. That is a scary goaltending tandem, not for other teams. There is concern. No, in this world, I can see Ronta and Freddie surprising, though. Yeah. And this is the reason I have the Canes 5th here. Is there's a lot of health issues there, a lot. Especially
like for me, less with Freddie, more with Ranta in terms of the health issues. Yeah. With Freddie, we know when he's healthy, he's good. He has not been healthy the last 2 years. Like that's kind of been almost put out there in a way. Like he admitted himself for last year, he played too long and he should have been sat out. Mm-hmm. And imagine like the difference it would have made. But that's 2020 hindsight. There's risk. I think there's a lot of risk here, and I think you're right on that.
Well, he's had time to recover. I mean, he didn't get a look in the playoffs for obvious reasons. His camp was good, but all right. Looking at the Islanders, they need.
Before we get to the Islanders, I have some breaking news.
Please be relevant.
It's about your team.
Oh, okay, cool.
According to Renaud Lavoie, a 1-year deal at $950,000 for Matthew Perreault.
The center they needed.
He's not even a center. He's not a center. Sorry, just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, let's move on to the Islanders. They need a center. Is that what you were saying? Unless you want to talk about Matthew Perreault. Like, it's totally up to you, though.
The Islanders need to sign Pelech, Sorokin. I know it's Sorokin. I don't care. Beauvillier. They brought in Richard Panik. We all remember that. And they lost Eberle and Leddy. We're waiting for Parise.
Have they made a signing?
I don't think they have. They haven't
check.
gotten Zizekas either. They need to do that.
I just went on from the
Ronan.
25th to the 29th, and they have not made a signing. That's incredible. They have their work cut out for them, though. That's for sure. And I think we'll see what happens. Oh, just if they bring back Palmieri, I think we said it wasn't great at the time, but I do actually think allowing Seattle to take Eberle or Bailey opened up $5.5 million of cap space. But the issue is that the players you were protecting instead were Matt Martin and Casey Cizikas. Or Kyle Clutterbuck. Sorry. Like that's where the issue stood in my eyes. But they have $17 million in cap space, 3 RFAs to sign, important RFAs to sign, by the way, and are bringing in 2 more players.
But the Islanders,
They're like, I don't know. I've had the mistake of not betting on them, not thinking that they're gonna do something. So I'll just say that they'll figure this out. I think Jordan Eberle is gonna really hurt because he was kind of like he was a very big identity guy with them. Like he was someone that kind of rose up with them, post John Tavares, and he really did well. And I don't know what they're gonna be able to do. I really do think that this year was their best chance at winning it because the core just gets a year older. That defense is still going to be solid, but man, they don't have a lot of young guys coming up. Like I'm looking at what they can bring up, and no one screams like production.
I'll defend them a bit there. Bellows is the younger guy. Don't forget about Noah Dobson.
No, there's speculation that they might give up on him.
What about Oliver Wallstrom? That should be.
No, I don't know. I include him in like the core already.
Yeah, but that's still a young player. Now.
Yeah, but like I mean, I don't know. Like, is he gonna like? How are you gonna replace Jordan Eberle?
With Oliver Wallstrom.
With Zach Parise and bringing back Kyle Palmieri.
Yeah.
But no, we're not allowed to talk about how they're both Lou guys. That's not allowed. Okay?
No.
Not allowed. They left Kiefer Bellows exposed, by the way. Kiefer Bellows.
Still.
But yeah, no, still, you're right. But I mean, it seems like maybe they might be giving up on him. But he still has the chance.
I can't believe they gave up on Michael Dal Cole.
Did they not?
They didn't re-sign him.
Unfortunate. Pittsburgh, they lose Jared McCann, they lose Brandon Tanev, and they have the same goalie tandem. Maybe wondering, Adam, why'd you put them third? It's still Pittsburgh.
It's still Sidney Crosby.
He still do something. Do they have money?
They must, because Tanev's gone now.
Yeah.
That was a weird deal. They must have at least like $5 million in cap room right now.
They have 2.5.
How? They lost. How? Where is this? What? No, hold on a minute. Can you share your screen and like bring up their cap?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
How many tabs you have open? I promise.
I have 3.
Oh, thank God! Thank goodness. Okay.
Where's
the money gone? I'm so confused.
Can you see my screen?
I can. Yes.
Projected cap space 2.5. Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby, Gensel, Zucker. These guys. Right. They brought in Brock McGinn for 2 points. So they did have $5 million. No, you're right. They did have $5 million, but they gave it 2.75 of it to Brock McGinn.
What defenseman do they have?
Oh yeah, and they signed Danton Heinen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You mean Chad Ruhwedel has been in the league for what feels like 27 years.
Yeah. You know what mistake they didn't make?
What?
Giving Cody Ceci $3 million.
We'll get to Edmonton next episode. Sorry. Don't worry. I think that's the 4th time you've poked fun at Edmonton.
I don't feel bad at all.
I thought you were going to say they did something right. They didn't trade Sidney Crosby.
Yeah. No, that's right as well.
Oh, scroll. How long does Sidney Crosby have left of their contract? 4 years. What? Oh, my. Okay. Well, whoops. Sidney Crosby. Okay. The Washington Capitals have reacquired Vitek Vanacek from Seattle. What was it, a second?
Yeah, from the Brendan Dillon deal.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb. No, there's a bit of I'm a little confused about how these expansion rules are actually supposed to work. They
Yeah.
just to quickly finish setting up. They still have Yevgeny Kuznetsov, which you're like, okay, when is that needle going to drop? And they extend Alexander Ovechkin. He actually takes a pay cut. He gets 5 more years at $9.5 million. And so before we talk about what exactly they've done and maybe poke fun at Seattle, I have a feeling we're about to do that. I'll ask you guys, everyone's been doing it. Will he break the record? Will he pass Gretzky's goal record? You know my answer. Yes. What do you guys think?
I think he can do it. So I don't know who did the math. It was a tweet. He has to score an average of 33 goals over the next 5 years to break Gretzky's record. And I just think he does it.
You can do it.
I still think there's like 1 or 2 more 40+ seasons there. So like the average goes down after that.
You know what? I'm just going to point this out. I'm surprised Daniel didn't say he doesn't do it because he has the hot takes this episode.
I was waiting to jump on it.
No. I say he does. Like he's been healthy. He's still scoring, even if like the team's not doing too well. And I don't know. It's just, for me, it's history in the making, guys. If this actually happens, like
it is.
Who would have thought we'd see a goal scorer like this? Like, and us not being born in the 80s. Or like not living in the 70s.
Or just like a Gretzky record being passed.
Yeah.
That was inconceivable a few years ago. And his goal record too. His points will never be touched. Not even going to happen.
No.
But it's so funny when you're like, oh, Ron Francis is 5th all time. Okay.
As a second line center.
Yes, no. When does the question become, was it Ron or was it Mario?
Oh,
that's one.
That's dicey.
Yeah, kind of this is dicey as the back end to goaltending of Philly right now. I still think they're going to win the division because let's go nuts here. So they bring in Atkinson. Nate Thompson goes back, funny enough. They reworked the D with Keith Yandel, Rasmus Ristolainen, and Ryan Ellis. One of those 3 can defend. Martin Jones as the backup for Carter Hart.
I like that one.
I don't hate that at all,
2 World Junior legends.
Was Martin Jones a legend in World Juniors?
Yeah, he was he won a silver medal, but he was the backup to Jake Allen.
Really?
In 2010, yeah.
That's really funny. From Brian Elliott, a former backup of Jake Allen, to another one.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Like
Philly, anything to say so we can finish off on Philly, please?
Well, I want to say we'll see how it goes because I've seen this with Philly before where they just throw money around.
Yeah.
And they just hope to field a competitive team. So I'm going to just see how this goes first.
I saw a lot of people praising them for making such big moves, especially with the Atkinson one, as well as the Ristolainen and Ellis one, even though they didn't really give much up with the Ellis deal. But that's just my opinion. We'll see if it works. I do think they have a team that it can work already. I think the defense last year was abominable. And the changes they made, they finally hopefully brought in a Matt Niskanen replacement. So Carter Hart doesn't have to deal with that again.
I'm not going to make a jawbreaker joke.
Okay.
With that, Boy said, great platform as always for the show. Check out our personal social medias, including the shows as well. TikTok, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Alex's blog, Daniel's stuff for CGRU and Hockey Writers, all that shenanigans. My YouTube channel. New videos up. Go watch them. 400 plus views on my Mayu one, by the way.
Hey.
That's good.
Freaking wicked. 4 dislikes, 4 likes, though. It's exactly what I expected.
Exactly.
And with that, you will see us soon.
Yeah.
My mic is off angle.
That's okay.
Yep. And we will see you when we talk about the Western Conference. And, there's a lot. There's a lot. The West really compared to the East, the West are a bit of a garbage heap.
Get coffee then.
Yeah. I'm going to go get more water.
I'm going to go get a thing of Gatorade quickly. Green Powerade, the best drink known to mankind.
Hey.
We will see you next time.